Hi, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. Opened a little early so y'all could get in here. I'm so excited to be healthy and able to do this broadcast. So I just hope you'll join me and have fun today, painting our little witch. So I'm not seeing any comments yet. So let me see if I can find you on my phone. Oh, there we are. Hi from Kansas. Hello, how are you? And Shirley, I see you. Diana, hi. So I hope you're all ready to have fun, or at least have fun watching. I want you to remind you that hi everybody, this is a Facebook Live, and so it is recorded, and it will be available to rebroadcast. Hi, Carol. It's so nice to see all you guys coming into the room. I really appreciate you being here with me. But it will be recorded and available for rebroadcast here on Facebook, and also shortly after the broadcast, I'll have it up on my YouTube page. So there are two places that you can find it. So if you just want to watch and then paint along later, you're welcome to do that. Also want to remind you that you can ask questions and put them in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer them. But keep in mind, I'm painting, and so I may not catch your question right away, but after the broadcast, I will go through and try to answer questions. I know if it's a question about what I did, that's not real timely, but I'll do my best. Just keep that in mind, okay? And I also want to let you know that I'm going to paint two surfaces, paint on two of them today to hopefully slow me down, because I get excited and move along really quick. And I apologize for that. I just get adrenaline going because I'm so excited to see you all. And so I'm going to work on two surfaces, so that way you can watch me demonstrate on one, and then I'll do the other one and we can paint it together, or you can see it again in case you had a question. So anyway, I hope y'all were able to find colors or substitutions that you needed. And I'm just so excited to see all these names that I recognize and some new ones coming in. So I'm going to give it a couple more minutes and then we'll get started. So I hope y'all are staying warm. We've had rain for a couple of days, and but it's a nice day today. Little chilly, but dry. And I love you too, Kathy. You don't know how much. Anyway, so you can send me love notes and I'll respond to those right away. Wow. Ohio, Kansas, North Carolina, Pennsylvania. This is so cool to see you all. Hi, Kathy. It's okay. You can just watch however you want. If you're just watching, you're not allowed to correct my English or anything like that. So, but if you're painting along, you can. So, hi, Joyce. Lady Dwayne is here. And Heidi. Hey, how are you? Anyway, so let's see. We got one more minute until go time. So get out get your surface out and get yourself ready, because this class tries to start on time unless there's glitches. But I'm hoping against hope that the gremlins have moved out because it's too chilly. From El Cajon. It's so nice to see you guys. New name from South Florida. Hi, Alice. All right, I am going to switch over to the project. And this is the lady we're working on. And I'm also going to switch over so I can give you some banners so you'll know what colors are coming up and stuff like that. So I don't have the pattern for Bernie hanging from here. That was just a joke in case you caught that on Facebook. So this is what your lady should look like. And let's see, let's move down here. We are going to start with some dry brushing on her face. And we are going to need 3 colors. You're going to need Foliage Green, Margarita, and Warm White. Now, I always use Deco Art colors. So, if you know, just so you keep that in mind, if I put the brand in the packets, but I don't say I'm going to use Deco Art this and Deco Art that. So, Foliage Green, Margarita, and Warm White. And you're also going to need a brush that you like to dry brush with. Now, I have explained it, but I'll explain it again because it's what I do. I like to use a Langnickel Royal Sable short round brush to dry brush with. It's got soft bristles, and after you use it for a little while, the tip kind of flattens a little bit more. It's not so pointy, and that's a great place to have the brush for dry brushing. And what I like to do is I will pick up some paint, and we're going to start with Foliage Green. So I'm going to pick up some paint on my brush, and I'm going to scrub it around on my palette, going in clockwise and counterclockwise motion. And so what I'm doing here is I'm pushing that paint up into the bristles a little bit. Now my brush was dry. You didn't add any water to it. That's why it's called a dry brush. So I spread that around in my bristles and worked it up in there a little bit. So then I'm going to go to this handy dandy towel that I have back here and kind of wipe it out because I don't want blobs of paint. Then I'm going to go to this part of my hand. It starts at this part of my hand. It ends up all the way across and down my thumb. But I hit this part of my hand and rub it around. And when I initially hit this part of my hand, it's cool. And as I rub it around, it loses its coolness. It doesn't get hot or warm or anything like that. It's just not cool anymore. And then I'm going to go to my piece to dry brush. Let me get a little tighter in on her face. And so let's go down the center of her neck first. And let's dry brush some Foliage Green down the center of her neck. Okay. So I'll do my other one. And I'm going to go down the center of the neck. I hope this helps. So we are going to go on her chin. Now it helps if you have your picture out so that you can see the highlighted areas. This highlight is not going to be the brightest one because we're going to come back and dry brush brighter highlighting on the top, on top of this. So I'm going to do her chin. And while I'm at it, I'm going to do what I like to call her jowls, which are right here. I have these. They're lovely. Got them from my mother. She didn't share much, but she did share those. So here again, chin. And on her jowls. Okay, she's looking better already. Let's go. Now, let me just show you this. As when I run out of paint, I just pick up a little bit more and go back into that same spot and rub it around and then wipe out. So if you run out of paint, just reload and go through all the steps again. So I'm going to go in the top of her ears. You're just going to get a little touch of light color in the top of her ears. And let's go across her forehead too. Now you should have to scrub to get color off your brush. It shouldn't be blobs of color. It should take a little bit of work to get that color on there. So top of the ears and across her forehead. All right. Am I still going too fast? I hope not. We are going to go in the tip of her nose, but kind of think of it as like you have that little ball on the end of your nose. So think of her nose that way too. So it's not like all the way down into the V part of her nose, but it's going to be what would be the ball of her nose. And that gets pretty light. You're going to find that this dry brushing is what makes her kind of come to life, you know. So I need to do the tip of her nose here. And let's go on her cheeks. And go ahead and go in, I don't know what those things are called next to your nostrils right there. Add a little bit there. So I'm going to do her cheeks and on her nostrils. So there are a lot of places we dry brush on this girl, but it's all the stuff that makes her look really cute. Well, cute, wicked, as Cheryl put it, wicked. You also want to do a little bit on above her top lip. So get up under her nostril, above her top lip. She's got, you want to touch some highlighting up here under what's going to be her eyebrows, here and here. And then just a touch above the eyebrow where that kind of wrinkle is. You know how when we scowl, we get that little wrinkle between our eyebrows. So we want to highlight that too. So I'm going to go under this part of her eyebrow on the left eye and under it on the right eye. And then I'm going to come in here to those, highlight those little wrinkles that make that scowl looking. Now, as you can see, the color is kind of died down a little bit. And so that's why we come back and dry brush brighter highlighting. So I'm going to go on this guy, girl, whatever. I'm going to go under the eyebrow on both sides. And then I'm going to go in those wrinkles. I got a little heavy there, but it'll be okay. Trust me. All right. Let's see. Looking at my piece, trying to figure out what I want to do. All right, now. How are we doing? Are we keeping up now? Am I doing a little better? I hope so. I hate to discourage you by going too fast. So don't wash your brush out because we are going to dry brush brighter highlighting on each of these spots that we just did by picking up a little bit of margarita on our dirty brush. And when I write directions, a lot of times I'll use that phrase, pick up this color on your dirty brush. And what that means is I haven't washed it out. I've kept the foliage of my brush. Now I'm going to pick up margarita and I'm going to do a brighter highlight. And you'll be able to see that on my hand here. It's a little bit brighter, a little bit more yellow and creepy green. So we are going to do that everywhere we just did the foliage green dry brushed highlighting. You're going to come back with this margarita highlight, but you're going to cover a smaller area. So as you go down the center of her neck, you're going to not go as wide. Okay. As you go on her chin, you're not going to cover as much of an area. You're just going to kind of highlight the part that juts out a little bit more. I use myself as a model. It was a day I wasn't having a very good day, and so I took a selfie, and no, not really. But everywhere that you just did your foliage green highlighting, you want to go back and add this lighter highlight. So it should be relatively easy for you to figure out where you're going with this. Thank you, Jennifer, for answering me. I'm going to go across her forehead a little bit, under those eyebrows. Now, let's see. I want to go a little bit more on the chin. Okay, so I haven't named her, so I don't know what I'll call her. She should have a name, though. So down the center of the throat, on the chin again, on the jowls again. Sorry, my nose is itching. I have to keep stopping. Tips of the ears. Let's go on her cheeks. In her nostrils. The ball of her nose. Her forehead. Under that eyebrow. And in those little furrows above her eyebrows, or inside her eyebrows. Now, I'll give you a minute there to catch up. Don't wash that brush out. Which Wanda? That would be Gertie's good too. I'm going to show you here. We are going to pick up a little bit of warm white on our dirty brush. So that brush has foliage green and margarita, and now it's going to have a little bit of warm white in it. And we're going to do these brightest highlights that are on the chin, on the jowls, the center of the cheeks, the nose, and under the eyebrows. We're not going to go completely everywhere that we did with the other highlights, but just a few places. So let's go here on her chin just to make it jut out a little bit more. And I want to go on her jowls, but I'm going to keep this highlight a little bit closer to where her mouth ends. Okay. I say K a lot because I expect you to answer me back. Here, the ball of her nose, not as much as the other two highlights we put on, and just a touch on the nostrils. Let me get a drink here. Let's go under the eyebrows. And this all stands out like a sore thumb. I am painting on an 8x10 canvas, so it gives me that nice rough texture, Kathy. Through the eyebrows, let's see. And let's do on the cheeks a little bit. And you want to kind of keep this highlight on the cheeks, kind of like an arc in if you were to put an arc through the nostrils, it would go like an arc. Here's the start of the arc, and it goes around and goes here. I don't know if that made any sense. So let's work on number 2. If you were painting, if you wanted to paint this on a flat surface, like a wood piece, I would suggest you use a sponge roller to base paint the black on, just to give it some texture. So just, and I need to do the eyebrows, and then we'll be able to move on to our next thing. Not on the neck at all. No. But thanks for asking. If you wanted to do the neck, you could. But I don't think I did because I didn't want the neck to stick out as far as the face, if that makes any sense. So now, once you have all those places dry brushed with this brightest highlight, you can wash out your brush. And that's another thing I like about these brushes is I can wash it out and I can dry it on my towel. And if I needed to go back and dry brush another color, I could dry this enough on my towel to be able to do that with the same brush. And you could also clean it out with waterless hand sanitizer, and that would dry relatively quickly too. So we're going to move on, and we're going to start floating some shading on her. So you want to get out some black green. Okay. It's not a color that gets used too terrible often. All right. I need a bigger desk. This is what I'm deciding today, painting 2 of them. So what I want to do is I want to float some shading. We'll go with the easy parts first. You want to blend this out pretty well because you don't want it to be like a black line. You want it to be a nice soft float. So let's start out by going on her ears next to her face. Okay. And I can hear you all saying, okay. So I'm going to turn my girl around so I can do her other ear. I hope that doesn't make you dizzy. Oops, a little dark. Then it'll be okay. Okay. Again, I say with the K. Oh, that's the done one. I was going to try to float on the done one. That's not smart. So on her ears, next to her face. It doesn't matter if you get up in the black because it's not going to show, and she's going to have hair anyway. I think her hair is my favorite part. I hope I have a good hair day. All right. Already, she's looking better. Let's go on her neck. You should have those two little pattern lines where kind of like her throat, I don't know what you call that. I guess I should have looked up anatomy. But just inside the edge of her neck, there's two lines. Sometimes when you get really mad, this shows up on you. Now, if you like to mop out floats, this would be a good place to do that, to soften it even more. Kind of like a chicken neck or something. I don't know what it's called. I don't really want to know what it's called either. Okay, so I gave her chicken neck there. Let's give this one. Let's see, we have Wanda and Gertie, so I don't know which one is which. I'm going to call this one Gertie. So Gertie's getting her chicken neck put on. And I should have turned her around instead of trying to do it without turning it. It'll be okay. Let's go under her hat, across her forehead, under her hat. Okay, I got it now. You guys are responding. Okay. So on her forehead, under her hat. And I know that a lot of this is going to get covered up with hair, but you still need it back there just in case part of it peeks through. And our ears should be dry enough now that we can go in and do that little C-stroke float in the top to make it look like she has like that fold in her ear. Next time I will look up anatomy and have all the right names for these parts of the body. So there, Wanda's got her forehead and her ears done. So let's work on Gertie. Across the forehead, under the hat. Oh, hi, Jill. Love you too. My niece is on here. She used to go with me to all the conventions. Okay, let's do the ears. Everybody say hi, Jillian. All right. Now, let's see. We are going to go under her chin. Now, pay attention here because there are a couple little parts where her neck is out past her chin, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to start way up here and come down and around the bottom of her chin. I cheat and move my brush. So, but you see how it started? There's a little piece of the neck right there still showing. So I'm going to go across here and then come up to that little neck. Right. Let me show you again, just in case. I'm going to go start here, come down and around underneath her chin. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. And we'll meet in the middle. For those of you that didn't realize that last month's meeting was canceled because I was sick, but I did a recording for you, so it's available if you bought all this stuff and got everything ready for the Boo Boo Crew banner. So all is not lost. Let's go. There's just above the eyelid on the right, above the eyelid on the right eye. So I'm going to go here. Okay. Ooh, I didn't put her eyelid on this one. Silly me. I'll have to fudge it. It'll be okay. I still have a little bit of the shakes. So my liner work isn't as nice as it usually is. Or hello. Oh, look, Jillian. She said hi to you. Hi, Liner. Okay, now let's also go on the face around the nose. So that's kind of a long float. So you want to kind of pity pat and play that one around. So I'm going to start up here. It's okay if you get on the whites of your eye. It'll be just fine. Oh, am I really off screen? I'll back up a little bit. How's that, Sue? So let's go all the way around the nose. I try to do these without turning because I don't want to get you disoriented, but sometimes you just have to turn it. Okay. Starting to look better. I'll back up it a little bit more. And we'll go and do this nose. For those of you that are football people, the Buccaneers beat the Packers. Sorry, unless you're a Buccaneers fan. Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's go. She has those two little, I don't know what you call them, on either side of her mouth. You're going to hear that a lot. I don't know what you call them. I am using a Low Cornell Maxine's mop, Maxine Thomas mop, and this is a 1/2 inch. I apologize for being off screen. Am I better now? Boo. Okay, so let's go. Where did I say? Oh, here. These little C strokes on either side of her mouth. All right. So here she's got these little C strokes at the end of her mouth. We are going to go down both sides of her neck. So we did that one float down her neck. Now we're going to go down both sides, the actual side edge of the neck. And you can take that into the V of the collar. And she's going to get turned around so I can do the other side. And so down both sides of the neck with black green. And in that V where it goes into her coat or whatever it is she's wearing. We're getting there. We're getting closer. Now, I want you to blend out some of this black green a little bit more than you normally do because you want it to be a really soft float. You don't want to be it to be as heavy as these floats we've been doing. You want to blend it out really well because what we want to do is we want to float to set us out these little, whatever we decided we were going to call them, where she's kind of crinkling her eyebrows. And you probably want to do one, blow on it a minute, and then do the other one. One of them is a little bit more of a C than the other. So not quite as dark as, say, these. Okay, so you blend it out really well. I can probably get by with what's on my brush. Okay, that one's really light. So I'll deepen it a little. Better to have to deepen it than to try to lighten it up. All right. We have to go down the sides of her face, but I'm going to kind of stop when I get just below her ear, okay? Okay. Well, Jackie, you'll be able to watch it on replay and catch up. So I'm going down the sides of the face, and I'm going to kind of just stop when I get below the ear. And now I'm going to start below the ear and pull up this flow. So sides of the face. To just below the ear. Normal is good, yes. It's going to be, it's going to have hair over it. So normal is good. I don't know about yours, but I think mine is starting to come to life. We're going to want to do this float. I know there's a lot of shading here. Under her mouth. Normal too. Doesn't have to be blended out so much. So you want to just go under her mouth, and that means you kind of stop when you get to her nose. Oh, that really helped her come to life a lot. So under her mouth, just stop when you get to the nose and start on the other side. She's looking more and more like me all the time. All right. Now what I also want to do is there's some little notches to separate her nostrils from the bulbous part of her nose. Sounds like I know what I'm talking about. So the way I like to do those is I'm just going to load my brush just like I was going to do a float. Corner load, blend it out. And then what I'm going to do is, the corner of the brush, let's see here, the corner of the brush that has the paint on it, I'm going to set that down next to this little, where the V is, where the nostril and the nose separate. So color against the float that you did earlier and just set it down to give you those little creases. That one got maybe a little long, so I'll just wipe a little bit of it out. So load your brush just like a side load float. Set the brush down. It's kind of straight up and down with the color against the previous float, and just set down a little crease. Just got a couple more places to float. And that is, there's like the bag under her eye. So what I want to do on the left eye, she's got a little bag. I'm just going to softly, and yes, this is a little bit softer float. add that little bag. So it's just below the eye that you've painted. Oh, hello from Colombia. And on the other side, it's the same way. It's just below, but it kind of follows along, it's longer. This bag only goes about halfway underneath the eye. This one goes almost all the way under the eye, if that made any sense. So a softer float of black green, you just want to add a little bit of a bag under the left eye and a larger one under the right eye. All right, I think, oh no, we have a couple of little places on her neck where you want to do the soft black green float. And you can see those here. So it's like 3 of them, very soft. They don't have to touch the sides of that middle section on her neck, but very softly add those 3 little floats. And this one kind of gets lost in the shadows down here, but there is one there. That just finishes off her chicken neck look. So very soft little float there, and then come down and do another one, and then another one. We're going to get some highlighting on there so they'll stand out a little bit more. How are we doing? Are we all keeping up okay? I know the guys that are just watching are keeping up okay. All right. Soften those with the mops a little bit. We are going to do a little bit of highlighting, floated highlighting. Well, actually, what I want you to do is I want you to get your dry brush out. And let's reinforce some of this shading by dry brushing a little bit of black green in a couple of places, okay? So a dry brush and still working with the black green. You want to keep this kind of soft. We are going to come right here around her nose and kind of deepen it a little bit. And kind of walk it out a little bit here so you kind of get the look of her scrunched up top lip. So a little bit of soft black green dry brush shading under that nose. Make sure you have your picture out. I think you can see this on your picture. You probably do need a new bottle. It is an older color, and we don't use it too often, Jennifer. And then we also want to kind of deepen this shadow under the eye and out towards the side of her face. So kind of where we floated the bag under her eye, we want to extend that out to the side of her face a little bit. Not too terrible much on this side, maybe just a little. And under her bag a little bit. When I was painting this, I really had fun watching her come to life. And let's go here a little bit on next to her eyelid on the right eye. I think that's going to do it. So I'll do the other one, just in case you need some reminders. So I'm going to go on her nose here, next to her nose. I'm just going to kind of walk it out a little bit, just to make it look like her scrunched up top lip. Well, trying to think what you could do, Jennifer. Can you use it at all, Jennifer? Jennifer's having trouble with her old black green. I'm going on next to the other eye a little bit. Here on the nose to give me that top lip. And you probably want to dry brush a little bit under the mouth too, just to deepen it and give it more of a look. See, into this area here, kind of to define her chin a little bit more. So last place, kind of under her mouth, just to define her chin a little bit more. Yep, she's looking good. I wish I could see all yours. So then you can wash your brush out. All right. So we have some highlights that we need to reinforce with some floats of margarita, which is already out on your palette. So with your margarita, let's float a highlight. Let me see. Crack it open. Mine had a little skin on it. Ooh. I'm going to go on the top of the ears just to brighten those up a little bit. And I'm going to go on the jowls. So kind of where that black green float ended, below the ear, you want to pick up and add a little float and take this down onto her chin. So where that black green float kind of ended, you want to start up this highlight of margarita. And I'm going to turn her around so I can continue that float across her chin and up to highlight her jowls a little bit. Right? I was looking at my list of little instructions that I'm going to put up as we go along, and I started reading what I thought was a question, and I was going, what? I haven't gotten there yet. I need to go back to the comment page. Good advice. All right, let's top the ears in case you haven't. And then her jowls. and her chin. All right. Let's go. Those three little things that you did on her neck, you want to do a highlight float kind of back to back on those. So I would start the bottom one, but that's just me. But that way you don't wipe out. Okay. Oops. Load the side of the brush that already has paint on it when you reload the float. That's just my tip for the day. So there, right there, and right there. We also want to highlight the nostrils, and you want to stop when you get to that little wrinkle that you put in there, the bottom of her nose, and then the other nostril. So kind of just the bottom, not the whole nostril. Okay. So down into the tip of her nose. And actually the tip of her nose gets a lot more colors put on it. So you might not be able to see this highlight on the picture as well. So I'm going to go into her nostril, on the tip of her nose, and into that other nostril. That makes it stand out from her face a little bit more. We want to reinforce this highlight that we dry brushed here under her left eyebrow. And also under the right one. But keep this one on the right more just in that top little arch. It doesn't have to go all the way down. So I'm going to go in the arch of the left eyebrow, and it goes kind of almost the whole length of that eyebrow. But on the right eyebrow, you want to just keep it in the top of the arch. And then you can wash out your flat brush, because we're going to do a little bit of highlighting with our liner brush. Let's see. Let's get on her eyes a little bit. So with your liner brush and Margarita, you just want to load it up. Don't add water. We want this to be more of a dry liner than liner consistency paint. What I want to do is I want to very lightly line a highlight on that bag that is under her left eye. Okay, so if you notice, I pulled it from the corner, and as I got to the wider part, I kind of let it, I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but I let it trail off and kind of just dry, ended up being a dry brush. I'm going to do the same thing to the right eye, but that one is going to go more around the whole edge of the eye. So I'm going to start up in the corner. And as I flatten the brush out and come around the bottom of the eye, it kind of runs out of paint. And then you also want to do that. Your witch has a mustache. Well, I doubt very seriously that she gets her lips waxed or anything. You will also want to line a highlight on this eyelid. And it's not going to go all the way, fill up the whole eyelid. You just want to start in the corner of the eye, the center corner of the eye, and kind of pull a little bit of this margarita across it. So it doesn't fill up the whole eyelid. So we've done the bags under each eye and that eyelid. So now it's my turn to do. Is this Gertie or Wanda? I don't know. I can't remember. I should write it with chalk pencil on here. I'm going to give her her bags under her eyes. I hope that when we're done, and as you guys finish your pieces, that you'll share them on Facebook so I can see them. All right. We are going to need a new color coming up, and that's going to be Coral Blush. If you don't have Coral Blush, you could probably use Spice Pink or some cheeky color would be good. And what we're going to do with this is we are going to add a little bit of color. I don't know how well you can see it, but there's a little bit of Coral Blush on her nose, the nostrils, and on her chin. And I think those are the only places. But you can put it wherever you'd like, actually. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to float that color on. I'm going to blend it out really well so that it's nice and soft and it's not just a pink line. And I'm sure I've kind of shown you this before, but when I talk about blending a float out really well, what I mean by that is I corner load into my paint. And normally when you blend a float, you blend it all in the same spot, right there, that line. But when I want to soften a float, I walk away from that line and I leave more paint on my palette. That way I soften that color a little bit. So I hope that kind of explains what I mean when I say very well blended out. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this very well blended out Coral Blush and we're just going to kind of tint. And I blended it. Oh, no, that's good. Tint the tip of the nostrils. You'll probably see it better on your piece than you can see it on the camera on mine. And I also want to put this in the bottom of the nose. That one shows up a little better for you. And then also on her chin. And also, I changed my mind. I decided I'm going to touch just a little bit. And it's kind of just a pity pat float and of color on her cheek. And I'm going to dab it out with my finger because I don't want it to have a hard line like an edge that you normally get with the float. So I'm just going to touch a little bit of this color and then kind of dab it with my fingers so I soften that edge. So we do, you like how I make this up as I go? Oh, I talked about a mustache because in the comments, Linda said her witch has a mustache. If you're mine, I don't think has a mustache, but sometimes we get a little heavy with our dry brushing and we end up with mustaches. But mustaches on witches are okay. So I did the nostrils, the end of the nose. I'm going to do the chin. And then I'm just going to touch a little bit of that color onto the cheek. And see, I'm not really doing a float. I'm just kind of dibby-dabbing it on there and then softening it with my finger. Okay. She's coming to life. Repeat where the color goes again. Okay, if you're talking about coral blush, I did a soft float in the nostrils, the bottom of the nostrils, the bottom of her nose, the bottom of her chin, and then I just dibby-dabbed a little bit of color onto the bottom of her cheeks. So you're going to need another color that we haven't used before on this piece, and that's soft black. And we're just going to deepen some of the shading that we did on our piece with soft black. So you don't need very much. And again, these are going to be nice soft floats. So we're going to deepen the shading under the hat. Let's do that first. I'm going to go across here under the hat. I love soft black because it's brownish black, and so it's just a little softer and less harsh than lamp black. I'm going to get a drink first. Okay. We also want to deepen the floats on her ears next to her face. That very first float that we did with black green, we're going to go back and deepen that with soft black. I'm going to go on her ears next to her face. And that just puts them behind her face, behind even more. So we'll turn her around and do the other ear. So let's do these ears. And let's get the other ear. Sorry, itchy nose again. I wonder what that means. I know if your palm itches, you're going to get money. Okay. You also want to deepen that shading under her nose. And this one, I'm not going to take it all the way up here. I'm going to start about halfway down the nostrils and just go under that part and then around her nose. So with soft black, turn her sideways. Sounds like a TV station, turn her sideways. I'm going to go under her nose. And then just kind of stop it right there. Because this part of her nostrils are like connected to her face. You know, this is a technically correct piece, right? So it doesn't stick off her face as far as her nose does. So let's do the other one. Oh, Kissed by a Fool. You calling my husband a fool? That's okay. All right, so we got under the nose. And then we're going to do under the chin. So this part right, oops, let me get up there. That part right there. And then you also want to do it in this V area at the bottom of her neck. So under the chin and in the V area at the bottom of her neck. And that's with soft floats of soft black. I got a little bit of my float off onto her chin. There, clean that up. So now I'm going to go down into this V area a little bit and deepen that area. I bet you didn't realize we'd be spending over an hour on just her face. And we haven't even touched her eyes yet. So I'm going under her chin, and I did in that V area at the bottom of her neck. All right. Let's see. We are going to work on her eyes now. So let's get here in her eyes. Now, remember how I told you I wanted you to things well blended. Keep that in mind. How we blend it out really well to soften it. We are going to need lamp black, and you're also going to need foliage green, which you already have on your palette. You might be able to crack it open, but lamp black isn't a new color for your palette. And you don't need very much of it. So we want to blend out, side load float that lamp black. We want to blend it out really well. You want it to be a really soft float of lamp black. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to float this blended out soft black just in the corners of each eye. Okay, so I'm going to just go right here. And it's not very dark. You can barely see it, I bet. But it will show up on yours. So I'm going to deepen it just a little. Again, easier to do. So in all four corners of the eyes. This one, not so much because it's already black. I'm going to turn this little girl around. So 3 corners of the eyes. And I'm just going to add that float of black in those corners of her eyes. Right? Now I'm going to show you again. So just a very soft float of lamp black in the corners. And that, what that does is it helps give the idea that that eyeball is round inside there. At least that's my story. And I'm sticking to it. Now, with Foliage Green, you want to blend that out pretty well. And Foliage Green was that first green that we used, just in case you can't remember. Not the brightest green. So you want to blend that out. And that is going to go across the bottom of the eye. And it's just a light little tint of green in the bottom of her eye. So kind of where the black float stopped, you want to start the green one. And yeah, it can go over the purple iris if you're, you know, I did. It's okay. It's not wrong. And again, it's just a tint, so it might not show up here on the camera, but it's there. I think you can see it in your pictures. So just a tint of that green in the bottom of each eye. Yeah, okay. Moving right along, you're going to need the lavender that you painted your irises with, and you still have warm white on your palette. So get just a dot. All we're going to do is line a highlight on these irises with our liner brush. And what we want to do is we want just a pinch of lavender. And you can go ahead out and get out dioxazine purple too, because that's what we're going to be using next. You might as well get that out while you're getting out the lavender. But with your liner brush, you want to pick up some lavender and then pick up some warm white just to make a lighter value of that lavender. And then all I'm going to do, I didn't add water. Again, all I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten up on her eyes a little bit. I'm just going to go through this, what I consider to be the center of that iris, and line a highlight on it with that lighter value of lavender. It's a kind of a dry brushed highlight with your liner brush. Okay, so lavender plus warm white, just a little line of color to highlight that. All right, now your liner brush and the dioxazine purple. This you do want to add water to. You want to thin it down. And what you're going to do with this is you're going to very thinly line the outside edge of that iris, and then you're going to add those little lines, hash marks in the iris, okay? Okay. So you want to keep it as thin as you can. So that means liner consistency paint and staying as straight up and down on your brush as you can, and staying on the tip. And watch me get a big fat blobby line. So I'm just going to outline that iris with some dioxazine purple. And then I'm going to add those little hash mark lines through there. And that's with thin dioxazine purple too. Hope you're hanging in there okay. Am I frozen? I don't think I'm frozen, Susan. Am I frozen, guys? I'm moving on my screen. All right. Now get in your warm white, and you're going to add a couple of little highlights. Let's see. There's just a little tiny highlight. If you're old school and you know regular clock faces, it's about 1 o'clock on the right eye, and then a larger set down kind of highlight with warm white that goes, it's about 7 o'clock, and it's comes from inside the pupil and goes into the iris, okay? Won't be long, we won't be able to use those examples anymore because people won't know what you mean. So about 1 o'clock, a little dot. Can be bigger than that if you want. And then just a little set down in the eye. And this one, I'm going to go a little more towards inside that point there. And then kind of the same area that the right eye is. So 2 little warm white highlights. And that kind of wakes your eyes up. Can you believe it? We are almost done with her face. All right. You ready? Got your highlights done? I wish you could give me a thumbs up, but Susan, I would suggest that you close down your computer, get out of Facebook and then come back in. So liner brush and lamp black, what we're going to do is we're going to give her some nice eyelashes. And I started out kind of thick in the corner of her eye at first and outlined the top of the eyelid, and then I came back and added some nice eyelashes. Okay. Oh, good. I'm glad I'm back, Susan. So let's give her some eyelashes first. Nice ones. Nice long ones. Those are the best things about her, okay? So I'm going to start a little wide in the corner of her eye and come around. And give her those eyelashes. This time you can think like Tammy Faye, I guess, if we all remember who Tammy Faye was. And I'm going to turn my piece so I can do the other eye. And yes, one eye always is easier than the other. So just give her some nice eyelashes. Could have probably gone longer even. Oh, she looks cute. Big old eyes. Here she just looks old and mad, but when you give her eyelashes, she looks a little better. Let's do the other eye. Yeah, she needs some short ones in that eye. They look too much the same. All right. You're also going to line her eyebrows and her mouth. And these are kind of like comic strokes. You want to set down a nice little bulb of paint at the center of the center here, the start of her eyebrow, and then thin out when you get to the end. And on her mouth, it's kind of thick at the outside and pulled towards her nose. It gets thinner. So we add those with lamp black also. Well, I'm glad I'm back, Susan. So let's give her her little eyebrows. Let's get this other one on here. And then her mouth. Oh, she's looking good, if I say so myself. Other eyebrow. And then her mouth. And I just have to say that the bridge of her nose is bothering me a little bit. I don't know about you, but I am going to dry brush just a little bit of foliage green on the bridge of her nose, just because it's too flat to suit me. So I'm just going to go up the bridge of her nose a little bit. This is an added bonus. Just keep out of your eyebrows. That looks a little better. All right. I think we might be done with the face. We are? How exciting. The hardest part is done. Oh, your husband actually said that, Jackie? Jackie's husband said he looks so much like her. Husbands. All right, so now we are going to start working on her coat a little bit. And so you're going to need lavender and lavender plus warm white, which you already have out on your palette. And we are going to dry brush again, highlighting on each little section, mostly on the shoulders and on this outside edge of the collar, not so much next to the neck or where the collar is on top of the shoulder area of the coat. But that's going to be dry brush highlighting, first with lavender and then with lavender plus warm white. The bridge of the nose, I just dry brushed a little bit of foliage green up the center of it because it was just bothering me. It was too flat. So that's what I did on the bridge of the nose, Jennifer. And that just kind of broke it up and made it not quite so flat. So now I'm going to dry brush. You get a lot of dry brushing on this piece. Lavender. I'm going to go right here on the shoulders. Don't worry about the side edges too much if you get down under. So I'm going to go right across the shoulders here. And then I'm going to go on the top side of the collar. And I'm kind of staying in the shape. So this is a V, so my dry brush is wider at the top and skinnier at the bottom. Staying within the shape of the object I'm working on. There's also just a touch on the curl that's underneath. So the underside of the collar too, you want to add a little bit. If that made any sense. Okay. Let's work on number 2. And this is just straight lavender. When you have this lavender highlight on, then you can pick up some warm white on your dirty brush and dry brush some brighter highlights. But then again, remember, if it's brighter, it covers a smaller area. I didn't even put the pattern on her jacket here. So let's see. It's kind of nice if you know where you're supposed to go. That works for me. Close enough. So I'm just going to scrub some lavender on here. And then I'm just going to pick up some warm white on my dirty brush and make a lighter value of lavender. I should show you my hand. Look, it's getting all the colors on it. And I'm just going to dry brush brighter, and I'm going to keep that mostly here on the shoulder, tip of the shoulder, where it kind of is pointy, and across the top here of the collar. I'm not going to go into the underneath. So I'm just going to go across the top of this collar a little bit. Okay, so the lighter highlighting goes right here on the shoulder and across the top of the collar. And then you can wash your brush out. Because I'm sure we'll be using it again shortly. Now we're going to float shading with the dioxazine purple on here. Okay, so a regular side load float of dioxazine purple. And that's going to be in the obvious places. We'll start here next to her neck. So I'm going to start at the top and come down to where the collar, it doesn't go all the way down, just where the V is, where the collar goes across her neck. You want to stop. So then I'm going to go on the other side of her neck, but not with that big blob of paint. So dioxazine purple floats right next to her neck on the collar. You want to go on this part of the collar that's underneath. So just get some, it's like a big C stroke, I guess, on that inside of the collar. So I'm going to float inside here. And here again, it doesn't matter if you get on the black background because it covers it up. Let's go, we can go across this bottom edge. Stop when you get to the neck. You want to go on the shoulders underneath the collar with dioxazine purple. So underneath the collar on the shoulder area. Just a couple more places. I also want to go across this top edge of the collar, and I also want to go along the bottom edge of the part that's underneath. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here a little ways above the point of the collar and float across the top edge till I get to her face. And the other side the same way. Float across the top edge and kind of go down to the point. And then along the lower edge of the part that's underneath. Again, I didn't look up the anatomy of a coat. This shading is going to show up a whole lot more when we get done with a few little highlights that we need to do. I'm going to go across the top edge of the collar with the Diox purple. And then I'm going to go across the bottom edge of this inside, the part that's behind the fold over of the collar. All right. Okay, going back to our lavender, we're going to do a float, a nice soft float of lavender across the top of the shoulders up to the collar. So I'm going to blend it out so it's a nice soft float. I'm going to come up the shoulder and across the top of it with lavender, and then take it up the neck. And that's going to make the shoulder stand out a little bit more. So up the shoulder, across the top of the shoulder to the neck. And it's really bright on this side, but you notice how much it's toned down on this side. So don't worry if it goes on really bright at first. I'm going to do the shoulder, starting it from the neck this time, just because that's what's easier. And the other shoulder. We're also going to float this lavender from the tip, the point of the collar around the curve. It's not going to go all the way across. It's kind of going to tail off again, like I do so many times. But I'm going to start at the point and come across the top of the collar a little bit and just kind of let it tail off. It doesn't have to go all the way to the neck. So I'm starting in the point and going across the top and just kind of letting it tail off. Almost loaded the wrong side of the brush again. Okay. Oh, sorry. I'm going to start in the point, across the top, and yes, that goes over a little bit of your shading that you did, but it's okay. From the point and across the top and let it tail off a little bit. Oop, I guess I could change the banner, huh? Okay. So we are going to take our liner brush. Let's see if I can find. We're going to line this front edge of the collar with a line of lavender. So find my liner brush back. And you can add a little water to this lavender. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to add a line to that front edge of the collar. Not a thick line, okay? Keep it under control. Okay. And then that line, as if that weren't enough, and if you know me, you know I don't leave many things alone. You're going to pick up a little bit of warm white and make a lighter value with your liner brush and lavender. And you're just going to line a little bit of a highlight from the point up a little ways. Doesn't have to go all the way, just from the point up a little ways. Okay, so I need to do my other witch. Line. This is a little lighter than just lavender because I had some white in my brush. All the little details. And then pick up a little bit lighter value of the lavender. And just from the tip up. Then you can wash your brush up. We are going to move to our hat. And we are going to need some turquoise blue. And of course, your warm white. If you're warm white, you can still get clean. So you're going to want turquoise blue. We're going to do some shading with lamp black. So you're going to want to make sure you can get into that. So I'm getting out my turquoise blue, and we are going to be dry brushing. So turquoise blue, dry brush. Let's get down here where you can see the hat. And so this dry brushing is going to go in the top part of the hat. It's going to be pretty wide. It's going to follow the shape of the hat and follow it around across the tail of the hat. It's going to go on the brim here, and it's going to go on the inside of the hat. Again, follow the shape of the hat, okay? So turquoise blue, another color added to the back of my hand. Just be sure to wash your hand before you go out to dinner. So I'm going to go on the hat here, starting wide at the bottom and kind of skinnying out when I get to the top, and I'm going to take it all the way to the point. I'm going to go across the hat brim. And then I'm going to go a little bit on the inside, keeping in mind that there's hair going to come there. Okay. Witch number 2. Should have done 3 of them. Then I'd have like a dating show panel here. So I'm going to go across the top of the hat. I love to use turquoise or any kind of blue, really, to highlight on graphite or on lamp black. And across the hat brim. And then I'm going to go inside a little bit. Inside on this lighter part. Then I'm going to pick up some warm white, hopefully without any purple or green in it. And make, of course, a lighter value of turquoise blue. And I'm going to dry brush brighter highlighting. Again, brighter, we're going to be smaller. But on this top part of the hat, I'm going to keep it not in the center so much as to the right center. And again, this is going to look totally different when we shade it. So a little bit of brighter highlighting, mainly through the center area of the hat brim, and just a touch on the inside, not as much as you did originally. So right center on the top of the hat. And through the center area, kind of where the hat band is in that area on the brim, and just a touch on the inside of the hat. Now, as long as we have turquoise blue and warm white on our brush, pick up a little bit more warm white just to make a really light value of turquoise blue. And let's go ahead and dry brush this hat band. And you really don't need to go over here because your flower is going to cover it. So we'll just dry brush that light turquoise blue, which is almost all warm white, on our hat band. and kill two birds with one stone. So we are going to float shading on our hat. We'll start on the top part, and that's going to be with lamp black, and that's a regular side load float. Oops, pick up my flat brush instead of my liner. So lamp black, and you're going to go on all three sides of the top of this hat, and it's going to kind of make the hat blend into the background a little bit, but that'll be okay. So I would start on the hat next to the hat band. And here's a good thing. You can go out into the side edge because it's black. So you want to go around those leaves. Right? So on the hat, next to the hat band, and around the leaves with lamp black. Guess I could change that banner again. And while we let that float dry, we can go down here to the outside edge of this hat. I'm going to start about halfway between the hat band and the edge of the hat, and I'm going to float like a big C-stroke float there. And I carry it all the way around to the ear. So I started up here about halfway between the hat band and the edge of the hat and float. Big C-stroke there. The other side, I'm just going to start about halfway between the hat band and the edge, but I'm only going to float inside that hat brim. I don't know if that makes any sense. So let's go here. I started about halfway between the hat band and the edge of the hat, and big C-stroke float all the way to the ear. But on this other side, I'm going to keep it in that hat brim. So kind of that hat brim over on this side gets filled up. Let's go. We're going to go now on the inside of the hat next to the hat brim. So I'm going to start at her head and come around and float inside to form that brim. So this class, as you can tell, is a little longer than the normal ones. But I had too much fun painting her. I wanted you to paint her too. So I floated on the right side under the hat brim and kind of took it around a little bit. It's all going to be hair here, so it doesn't matter. So let's float and to set out this hat brim, this side of the hat brim, and this side of the hat brim. Now, am I going too slow for you? Do I need to speed up a little bit? We are going to go back and float along this lower edge all the way down to the hat band. on the top of the hat. And then you're also going to come back and float the top edge. So I'm going to turn this around. And I'm going to start at the hat band and come back and float all the way around the top of the hat. I'm running out of paint here. That's why I'm pity-patting so much. So all three sides of the top of that hat got to float. So now I'm going to do my other one. I've lost track of who's Wanda and who's Gertie. So and up this side. Cool. Now the hat band has some little stars on it, or if you want to put stripes or dots or nothing, that's fine too. But it has some little stars. You can use any star stencil you have. I didn't want to make you go out and buy one. Just whatever you have. And I'm going to take a drink. But you just want to stencil a few little stars on your piece with warm white on your hat band. And just don't make them all the same. And they don't have to be opaque. They don't have to be perfect. You just want to give the idea that there are some stars on there. Or something just to break the hat band up. Just make sure you have like 5 showing, because you always need, see, they don't even look like real stars. But you get the idea, there's something up there. Okay. I have 6. I broke my own rule. So just a quick little addition of some stars. Not perfect stars. Just a hint of stars. If you wanted to paint them on, you could paint them on. I do them with a wash of color, just to keep them not too bright. That one doesn't even look like a star. Oh my goodness. It looks like a dot, but I don't care. It'll be okay. And here's a part of a star. All right. We're going to get, let's see, what are we going to do now? Let's get out some True Blue, and we might as well finish up that hat band. So True Blue. And we'll shade the hat band with True Blue. And it's basically going to be all 4 sides. Tuck a little bit in on this corner here, because it might pink out behind your rose, but it might not. So I'm just going to go down the side Actually, don't shade the top. Let's keep that open. So 3 sides. And I'm going to take this shading and kind of tuck it in a little bit around those leaves. And I'll do a little bit here. Just tuck it in wherever you think some of that blue might peek out. So I'm going to go down this side. I'm going to go across the bottom. Around these leaves. Tuck a little bit in there and a little bit in there. So easy peasy, quick shading. We are going to work on her hair. So if you need to get your pattern out to put the pattern on for her hair, you want to do that real quick. And you're going to want a round brush and heritage brick. So I'm going to get my pattern out. And I'm just going to put some strands of hair on here really quick. Don't forget the hair on her forehead. Doesn't even have to follow the pattern. Some scraggly, wiggly hair. Thanks for hanging in with me. The fun part's coming. Oh, see, she already looks like a witch. Okay. So don't make putting the pattern on for her hair a career. True blue, you could use deep midnight blue. Any deep blue. Deep midnight blue would be okay. It wouldn't be as bright. It'd be more toned down, which it might even look better. Okay. So I'll give you just a second to get that pattern on. And like I said, you're going to need a round brush. I can't read the number. This is a 5. You could use a 4 or a 5. And you're going to need Heritage Breakout on your palette. Okay, So with your round brush and Heritage Brick, you're just going to basically put those lines on that you've applied from your pattern. Don't forget to get down here behind her neck. As it comes from behind her ear, you want to make sure it doesn't go above the collar. You want to keep it behind the collar. If it's behind, coming from right down here behind her ear, it probably should stay behind the collar. As you get up here in this part of the ear, it can come off and go over the collar. So, round brush, no water, just straight paint. Just start adding her hair. And it can come up over the hat because you're done painting the hat. But think like your hair. It doesn't all just stick out from the straight edge of your head. You want to pull some of it off the face a little bit. So kind of think like your hairline. And you don't worry if you have a lot of empty spaces because we're going to fill that in. Like you could add an extra one there. But you do want to leave some open dark spaces there. So see, I'm coming from the side of the ear. I took it out over the collar a little bit, but these I'm going to keep them behind the collar. And you don't even have to go all the way down to the collar because we'll float some shading and that will fill up that space. So just touch some hair in there. Think like what your hair looks like in the morning when you get up. I can always tell if I've had a rough night, my hair is sticking straight up. If I slept well, it's like I don't even need to comb it, you know? And it doesn't have to be opaque. If the black kind of shows through, that's okay too. I want to make one of those go on there. Okay, so don't really make it a career. And you can make her hair longer if you want or shorter. You could give her a bouffant hairstyle. I don't care. It's your wish. I used the blue on, I'm sorry, Kathy, I just looked up and saw that. The blue was on the hat band. I shaded it with True Blue, and Sue didn't have True Blue. I apologize. I was concentrating on my hair and not looking at questions. Oh, there's one that goes here on her face. I didn't do. Make it thin, thick, thin. Not all the same. You don't want just straight lines. All right. So since this class is going a little bit longer, so we can let this hair dry, and we're going to take just a little potty break, okay? Mainly that's because I have to go. So that means you have to go too, okay? So I'm going to run and go potty. You better run and go potty too. And then we'll come back and we'll do some highlighting on the hair, okay? I'll be right back. Don't talk about me while I'm gone. All right, I'm back. I even washed my hand so I can start all over. So you're going to switch to a liner brush now. And you're going to need that color that I called Western Sunset. You're going to need, it's actually Warm Sunset. If you don't have Warm Sunset, you can use Persimmon. You just need a lighter value orange. You could probably even use burnt orange if you're in a pinch. But what we're going to do is with our liner brush, we're going to line a little bit of highlighting on our strands. And if we need to fill in a blank space, we can line it in with Warm Sunset. So it's not this brightest highlight yet. It's the middle value highlight. Talking like I know what I'm saying. And if your hair is still a little wet, it's really okay. So just liner brush. And it doesn't have to go the whole length of the hair. It can stop before it gets to the end, or as we've done before, kind of run out of paint. That's okay. That's just going to brighten her hair up a little bit. And see, I'm going to add some extra little ones in the negative spaces that are left. But as I get to this hair that's going to be behind her head, I'm not going to highlight that hair. That's right there under her, like under her jowls. I'm not going to highlight that because it's behind. It's that darker hair behind your head. And you don't even have to stay on the stroke that you made there. It can be off the stroke a little bit, or whatever. It's messy witch hair. Don't even worry about it. Okay, I'm coming up to that hair that's behind her head, and I'm not gonna highlight that hair right there. We're almost to the fun part. I know some of this has been fun. And I'm gonna stop right there. See, I'm not being real careful about really where this lighter hair is going. Just kind of pulling strands wherever I feel the need. Highlighting the ones that I laid down originally and adding wherever I need to fill in a little space. Easy peasy. Okay, so we need to let that dry before we do the next step. I know the Buffalo Bills game is on, so people are watching. I'm losing ya. So we're going to go up here and work on our rows and leaves. Okay, so while we let that dry, let me find, let's work, we're going to need deep burgundy, royal fuchsia, and warm white. Deep burgundy is a color we haven't used before, and royal fuchsia is what you use to base your rose in. So you want to get out royal fuchsia, deep burgundy, and warm white. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take a round brush again, that nice size round brush. And we're going to start with deep burgundy. Let me get my directions to make sure I'm telling you right. We're going to stroke on some shading in the bottom and keep it kind of shape following. You follow the shape of that oval, but go off the oval with the deep burgundy. Pick up just a touch of royal fuchsia on your brush to kind of tone it down a little bit. So at first I want to put in that center bowl. And then I'm just going to come and stroke very quickly and not very neatly some deep burgundy in the bottom of that oval. So I picked up deep burgundy. I added just a touch of royal fuchsia. First going to put that bowl of the rose in, and then I'm just going to very choppily, not neat at all, and going outside the edge of the oval, I'm going to stroke on the shadow part. So then just wipe your brush out. You don't have to wash it. Just wipe it out. Pick up Royal Fuchsia and then pick up a little warm white and kind of dab it on your palette to mix. It doesn't have to be mixed completely. And what you're going to do is you're going to stroke in more of the highlighted part. And that's going to start below the bowl, and then you come around the top. So you get some of this lighter color mixed in with the deep burgundy that you put in the bottom there. And again, come off the edge of the oval a little bit. So I'm going to pick up a little bit more warm white and make a little bit lighter strokes. Okay. So I'm going to come under the bowl a little bit. This got a little light, but it'll be okay. Because it's not the focal point. And if you lose your shadow, you can always just wipe out your brush, pick up some deep burgundy, and put it back in. Okay, just a really roughly painted rose. Nothing to write home about. Okay. So those liners on our hair should be done by now. So we are going to go back to the hair. And we are going to do a wash or a glaze of heritage brick. So you want to take your flat brush and thin down, not deep burgundy, you want to thin down heritage brick. Pretty thin. And what you want to do is you just want to kind of glaze over this. You're going over the negative spaces, over the highlights, just to kind of fill in those negative spaces and give them the look that they have some hair in there or something. It just helped to anchor the hair a little bit. And you even want to go down here on that hair you didn't highlight. So just wash. It really makes a difference. Some heritage brick over that hair. So I'm going to wash over this hair. And I even went across her forehead a little bit. It's nothing you have to spend a career on. I bet when you saw this, you didn't imagine there would be quite this much work, right? Okay. And we'll let that dry a little bit. There are brighter highlights. You're going to need golden straw out. We haven't used golden straw yet. So just a little bit. You don't need a lot. And you're going to line those brightest highlights with a mix of, I think you can see them. They're mainly out here to reinforce like waves and at the ends of the hair, kind of. And there's not as many as that last orange that you did, but warm sunset, or western sunset as I like to call it, and golden straw. So wherever I put my liner brush, I'm going to pick up a little bit of warm sunset and a little bit of golden straw to make a more yellow orange. And I'm just going to, here and there, add a little bit of this lighter highlight. And if that wash is still wet, that's okay, because it just kind of makes it blend into there a little better, wherever there is. And here again, it's not as much as what you did before with the other colors, just enough to show a highlight on kind of the outside edge. You can stay away from the hair behind the ears. Okay. Slowly but surely. Okay. I think I'm going to call that done. As far as highlighting goes. So we are going to do a little bit of shading on this with soft black, if you can still get into it. There's not very many places to do it, but it does need it. It's just going to kind of anchor the hair to her head a little bit. So soft black, I'm going to float shading on the hair around behind the ears. So I'm just going to go around the ears with a float of soft black. And then you want to go also follow down around her jowl and her neck a little bit, and then across the top of the collar. So you've gone from around her ear, next to her face, her jowls, and where if there's a little neck there, and then across the top of the collar. And that's all with soft black on both sides. Across the top of the collar. I was able to get in my soft black from a long time ago. All right, we're going to go around the ears, next to the face, and across the top of the collar. And across the top of the collar. And then there's just a couple little places to go. You want to touch a little bit of this soft black to tuck right here across her bangs, just to tuck it in under the hat. On this side, you just want to do whatever is you would think was under the hat. So I'm not going to do this whole strand. I'm just going to go just like about an inch and tuck it in under the hat. So I'm going to go across her bangs to tuck them in. And then on this side, just to tuck that side under her hat. Okay, just short little floats up there. And I think we can call the hair done. Now we can, if you can get in your Western Sunset, you can add some little dots to the center of the rose. Yes, there will be a replay, and they'll be here on Facebook, and it will also be on my YouTube channel shortly. I have to do a little editing. So we're going to add dots to the center of the rose with warm sunset. So just pick up some warm sunset on your brush and just dot some warm sunset into the center of your rose. And then you also want to add a couple dots of golden straw. Okay. Easy peasy centers. You haven't had Hauser Light Green out since you painted her face and painted those leaves. So you want to get a little bit of Hauser Light Green out. And if you want to, you don't have to do this, but it kind of added to the piece. All you're going to do is line this little curvy stem and add those leaves with Hauser Light Green. If you have a filbert brush, that would make adding the leaves a whole lot easier. So I'm just going to wing it here. Just line the stem. And then this is a number 6 filbert. And I'm just going to paint those little leaves on. Let's get a little tighter here. They don't have to be perfect. And I don't care how many you have on there. Good thing they don't have to be perfect. That last one was a mess. Oops, I guess I could be back on screen, huh? That would be nice. Okay. So we need to let those dry. And so we can go ahead and move on to the background a little bit and get that started. So what you're going to do on this background is you need some bleach sand. I'm going to get myself a new piece of palette paper. So I believe it was bleach sand, wasn't it? Let's see. I probably should read my directions. Yeah, bleach sand. There it is. And we will come back and do the highlighting and shading on the leaves a little later. So you're going to need some bleach sand, probably about petal quarter size, half dollar size. And you can use a bigger brush, a flat brush, if you want. But all you're going to do is you're going to slip slap this paint. You don't want it to be opaque. You want to still see the black through it. But what I want you to do is not go all the way up to like the hair that you painted or anything. You want to leave a black edge around the design that you painted. So what I'd probably start to do first is go here and line this next to it. And that's going to make the witch pop off this page really good. So see, I'm not going all the way right next to the collar. I'm staying away from it. And then I can get in here and I can just slip slap after I've got my border in there. So I'm just going to slip slap bleach sand all the way around the design I've painted, keeping that little black edge. When you get up here, it gets really easy because you don't have to worry about an edge. What you have to worry about is when you get to the hat, because it's hard to see. And you want to go kind of in between and around these little leaves a little bit, because you want them to pop off the background too. Okay. So let's take a little minute, but it's worth it. It makes it look so cool, I think. You know, it is all about me. See how those leaves just kind of pop now? So when I get done here, I need to start packing because my husband said we're going camping tomorrow. So that should be fun. And where we're going camping might have snow. We all know how I love the cold. So it really, it takes a little time, but it doesn't take all that much time to get around this. And later on, you can decide what you're going to do to the side edges of yours. I took this down around the side edges too. This part, you probably want a smaller brush to get in under the collar. It's probably a smaller brush without a fuzzy on it. Bleach sand. Light buttermilk will work. Sorry, I didn't notice the comment right away. Antique white will work. She just pops now. Much more than she did on the black background. So just don't fuss about it at all. Just keep that border around the design and you'll be good to go. Sorry, I'm being quiet. I'm concentrating. I'm keeping my black edge. I almost went too far in there. Oops. Well, that one doesn't have, but it'll be okay. So what do you guys think of this background? Do you like it? I mean, we're not done with it yet, but I thought it was pretty cool myself. Oh, criminy, did you see what I just did? I just went over my hat. That wasn't smart. So that's what you're not supposed to do. So if you did it, don't feel bad because I did it too. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I did that. I'm just happily painting along, ignoring that there's a hat there. Whew, I'm glad I caught it before it dried. Slowly but surely, I'll get it done. making you dizzy yet? Moving my thing around all the time. Okay. All right. Okay. So now comes part of the fun part. Oh, thanks. I'm so glad I caught that before it got dry. Now, you're going to need a pencil, not a sharp pencil, but just a regular old pencil. And what you're going to do is, even though this paint is wet, you're just going to start scribbling into this background. Only if you want to. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. But just add some scribbles. All as usual, what we're doing is just adding interest to the background. And this was just a unique way to do it. If you have a sharp pencil, you might poke a hole in your canvas because if you push too hard. But wow, that took forever, didn't it? This one's kind of dry, so it's not going to be like the other one, but it'll work just as well. So I'm just going to scribble. No rhyme or reason to how I'm scribbling. I'm just scribbling. And just breaking up that space a little bit more. See, that didn't take too long at all. So now what you need to do is you need to put the pattern on for your spider. And then we'll go back and we'll base the spider in, and then we'll go back and do those leaves. So even if your background's wet, you can still get a pattern on for your spider. He's just a couple of ovals with some legs. I kind of want it, even if the pattern doesn't fit exactly right there, I kind of want to keep him between these leaves and the hat in that area right there so that I have room for my lettering. So I'm just gonna trace on the two little ovals that you can't see. Oh yeah, there they are. 1, 2. So I'm gonna put them right in there. All right. And he's just painted with lamp black. So just base in those two ovals. Pencil directions. All you do is take your pencil that's not too sharp, and I just I hold it up high, not down here like I'm writing, but I hold it up high and just scribble. Just scribble on that bleach sand background that you just painted, even if it's still wet, okay? And then just get in there and paint your little spider and his head and his body. They're just two ovals. And we'll come back to him when he's dry. Just had a big boom. Okay. So you need margarita, and it's a color we've had on our palette but haven't used in a while. And you're just going to float a quick highlight on all the leaves, the little ones and the big ones. You get to decide which side is the top. So margarita. Oh, I didn't paint. Well, there's one more leaf over here. I missed it. Is it on the pattern? Yeah, it's on the pattern. Duh. Hopefully you got it. There's one more leaf. How's her light green? You can paint it really quick. I apologize. I totally missed that guy. Just right here. Which means that we need to add a little black border to that. I must be getting tired. So then with your liner brush, just add a little black border there so he stands out too. It just needed that leaf. All right, so we're just going to float a margarita highlight across the top of each leaf. And on these larger leaves, they also have like a center. So you want to add that with the highlight also. So the larger leaves get 2 highlight floats, and the smaller leaves just get the 1. So they don't have to be perfect floats unless you're like really a perfectionist. And let me see if I can get I can. So 2 on the 3 big leaves. This one kind of got stuck behind. And then just the 1 highlight float on the small leaves. And let me get a highlight on this leaf. So we'll go back to our spider while we let those highlights dry. And you can go ahead and line his little web from his behind all the way up to the edge of the canvas. And you can do his 8 little legs with lamp black. So I'm going to paint him in all the way. I'm going to line his little web, and it's not straight, and most of it's going to get covered up. And then he has 8 little legs, and I like to do them one side at a time. And I always kind of like to start with the one that's, let's get closest to his head, because it's the shortest. So I'm just going to go, I set down so it has a little ball at the end, and then come around. And then the next one is a little longer. And this one is about the same length as that second one. And then the third one, it's the same length, but it's at the back of his body, so it looks shorter. So I start with this short one. And then the next one is a little longer. And a little long, the same, I'm sorry. And then the one at the back of his body. So he has 8 little legs that went on really quick. So I'm going to line that web. And there you are. And then I'm going to give him his little legs. So think like a spider. They have to have 8 legs or they're not a spider. All right. So you want to pick up, you have lamp black on your brush already. And so you're going to just pick up a little warm white or bleach sand, something just to lighten up that lamp black a little bit. And since I have bleach sand out on my palette, I'm just going to use bleach sand. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to line a little highlight. Might want to make it a little lighter on his body and on his head. So, and it doesn't go all the way across his body or his head. It's just kind of to separate the two. And you also want to take that lighter lamp black and just touch a highlight, like I called him his feet, on his feet. So just the thicker end of his legs, a little highlight. And that's got a little lighter, but oh well, that's fine. You can see it now. If you can still get into your deep burgundy, you want to pick up a little of that on your liner brush and add a little bit of that to his bum, to the bum area right here. Just line a little bit on the back end of his bum. And then again, you can pick up royal fuchsia, or you can pick up the bleach sand. You just want a lighter value. And you're just going to line a little highlight on that red bum, just so it stands out a little more. He has two little eyes, and they're just little set down little ovals of margarita. So you just set down a couple little eyes with margarita. And believe it or not, he has some little eyebrows. And those are just little lines of bleach sand. It's kind of like just touch your liner brush down above his eyes to give him some little eyebrows. I mean, she has eyebrows, so he needs eyebrows. And once those margarita eyes are done, you want to just add a pupil. That's just a dot of lamp black. Wow, we're in our third hour, but we're almost done. I swear, we really are. So we're going to float some shading on our leaves, so I don't forget that. And that's with black green. And so wherever you floated highlighting, just the opposite side, you're going to float shading with black green. And then we can almost call, well, you can call the leaves done. So I'm just going to, oh, yeah, let me get on camera. Just going to touch a little bit of black green shading on those leaves. Doesn't have to be a whole lot. On the bigger ones, it's the lower edge and across the middle. Oops, she's staring at you. So just black green shading on those leaves really quick. I don't even think I got highlighting on that leaf. Oh well. We are getting there. All right. Just a couple more things and we can call it done. There, and this part is completely up to you. Let me back off. That would make sense so you can see what I'm talking about. I thought that the background needed to be broken up a little bit. And so what I did is I just took colors off my palette, made washes, and just tinted here and there. So here I probably used Margarita, and here I used Western Sunset. I used a little bit of Royal Fuchsia. in places. Don't make it a career, just add some tints of color. We need this on there before we put our lettering on. So right now I'm going to take some margarita and make a really thin wash. And I'm just going to tint. And basically I'm just slip slapping again some of this color onto the background, just to break it up and add some interest again. And I don't have royal fuchsia out. I'll use a little royal fuchsia. You could get into your golden yellow, whatever colors you want to pull off your palette. Anything you can get that's still open. But just add a little bit of color. Doesn't have to be a lot. Put a little in there. And let's see. Oh, I didn't do Western Sun. Warm, see, Western Sunset. I said it again. I don't know why I can't get that in my head. Okay, that was quick. When I'm doing that kind of loose slip slappy stuff, I like to hold my brush back here more than down here, because here I tend to try to control it more. If you hold it back here, you're looser. You get a little more loosey-goosey. All right, just like I said, a couple more things. We have some reflective shadows, and I'm sure you can see them here and there. There's a little bit in the rose. There's a little bit on the spider. There's some in her hair. I did a little on her chin and on the shoulders and on the collar. And all that is a soft float of turquoise blue. So blend it out good, well. And I'm just going to kind of slip slap some blue into my rose. Not being real careful about it. I just want to have a little bit of that turquoise blue in the rose. I'm going to float it on my spider a little bit, on his head and on his body. So on one side of his head and on his body. I'm going to go up the side of the hat and across the top. And you want to keep it kind of off the edge a little bit. That's a little too bright. And shoulders. Just on the shoulder a little bit. I'm so proud of y'all for hanging in with me. And across the outside top of the collar here. And you can put this wherever else you'd like to. I'm going to put a little bit in her eye, just to add another color being reflected in her eye. I'm going to do a little bit on her earlobes and on her chin. And then I'm also going to go on her nostrils and her nose. So let's see. Oh, and this guy, I need to start all over. I'm going to do this on the hat, up the side and across the top. And earlobes. Oh, and nose a little bit. And chin. Shoulders. And top of the collar. And then I forgot on the other one, you also want to kind of add a little bit in her hair here and there. Not too much, but just a little bit in her hair. All right. I can guarantee that the rest of the classes won't be as long as this one. So now, the lettering. The lettering is really simple. If you've done this before with me, you probably don't need a lesson. But all I'm going to do is cut out. I made a copy of the directions. I'm going to take my scissors and cut out the lettering. Now, you could print out your own lettering and make it say whatever you want. But I'm just going to cut out these words. Rectangles. Don't cut out around the lettering. Just cut them out to make little rectangles. Okay. This is great when you're too tired to do lettering. You can do it this way. And one more word. Okay. And I'm only going to do this on one of them, so you don't have to watch me do it on two. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this out, lay them out on my piece, and kind of in the way I want them to be. And yes, it's going to cover up some of your stuff. So I need this to go over a little bit, and I can put on here. And my spider, I'm going to cut this down a little bit. So you just kind of have to rearrange things to get it to fit. Like this is going to go up. But you get the idea. Okay. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my decoupage, medium. Mod Podge decoupage. And I'm going to decoupage the lettering into place. And what I found works the best for me is, oops, to knock over my light. I use decoupage a lot, so I have it in this little stainless steel container. And so what I like to do is take an older brush. I don't want to ruin my new ones. And I'm going to pick up a little decoupage, and that's dripping on my, okay. And then I'm going to lick my finger, my pointer finger, just lick the end of it so I can pick up that letter, that word. And I'm going to put it down and then just give it a little coat of decoupage. And so that's how I do it. It's easier for me. Just don't have a fan on to blow your lettering away. But that's it, easy peasy. And once you get that on there and it's dried, you just take your liner brush and you outline each rectangle with a thin line of lamp black. And then you just have to decide what you're going to do to the side edges. I'll show you what I did to mine, but you can do whatever you want to yours because it's your piece. So let me get this on there. But I'm glad that we got to paint this together. And I'm glad that there's going to be a video. So those of you who just watched or who had to leave early can finish it. And so there we go. Lettering, just outline with thin lamp black. On the side edges of mine, all I did was I carried the bleach sand over the side, and then I also did some of the tinting. It's a little bit stronger than it is on the front here. And then I decided to go back and add black stripes, but you can do whatever. If you want to paint your side completely black or do whatever you want, paint it one of the colors off the palette, whatever works for you and blows your skirt, that's great. The Boo Crew flag, so basically this is done, except for that lining around the thing and whatever you do to your sides. And I appreciate you for being patient and sticking with me through 3+ hours for this, but I just loved her so much I wanted to share her with you. But paper cardstock, it's paper. The lettering is just printed out on my laser printer. It's just regular paper. And the Boo Crew flag, I just sprayed it with a couple of coats of gloss varnish. And that's all it is. It's not going to hang out that long, so it'll be just fine. And let me see, next month, and I just ran out of the surfaces for this, but they're on order. I should get them tomorrow, but then I'm going camping, so I won't ship for a couple days. But you have plenty of time. Next month is zombie coffee. So that's coming up in February. And I sell the surface on my site, and I still haven't got those darn stencils in. But you can use whatever stencil you want on the background. I use a Tim Holtz Shatter stencil, but you can find something else. And it's just really subtle, something subtle for the background. I promise this won't take 3 hours, okay? And then the following month, in March, we're going to play with some quick wood. And we're going to do these. Let me see, get a little tighter here so you can see them. These are dollar store sunglasses. And round lenses or oval lenses, whatever you can get from the dollar store. And we're going to need paint adhesion medium, so the paint will stick to the sunglasses, and some quick wood. You'll also need Gorilla Glue, and it's all listed in the supply list that you get, and the prep instructions and the pattern are already up on the site. But we're going to make a quick wood little bat and stems and leaves. Nothing too fantastic, but if you've never worked with quick wood, you can struggle through it with me. And then I just finished this guy. So he's going to be, I believe, April's meeting. So, and about this is the wood piece that you order. It's only going to be $6.50, and it's going to have the pattern etched on it. So you won't have, you can still get a vellum tracing to get in case you lose the pattern, but the pattern's already on there. So it's great. And I have lots of other things drawn and cut out and ready to paint. So I hope you'll join me again. Anyway, thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for being patient and sticking out with me. And I hope that you like your witch and that she turned out as wonderful as you'd hoped. So just have a great rest of the evening here, and I'll see you when I get back from camping. So thanks again.